introduction in general.
Okay.
But
we are talking about here.
Introduction to the introduction. There seems to be two types of two approaches to understanding tefillah. Approach number one,
our Mishnah
which seems to be the more common approach, is to write a sefer about davening where you take various psukim or phrases that you find in davening and saying some sort of word on that pasuk or on that phrase, and you have, when you collect enough vertlach on psukim in the siddur, so you put together a sefer and you publish it. That serves its purpose very well. That you read it and it gives you a little bit of a better taste for davening. I like to approach it from a little different point of view, more of a structure point of view. That it's very nice when you can understand you have a nice little word or a story about a pasuk in davening, but I like to look at davening as a whole unit in terms of the word of davening of bracha.
Okay. We are going to learn a few new things tonight about Kilyaim. Certainly for me they were new. We're going to start from Halacha Zayin. Ein Mevin, that's on Gimel Amud Aleph, right? Ein Mevin Elon be'elon. Yerek be'yerek. One is not allowed to graft a tree onto a tree, nor a vegetable, such as a shrub, onto a vegetable. V'lo elon be'yerek, nor a tree onto a vegetable, meaning a tree onto a shrub. V'lo yerek be'elon, nor a vegetable onto a tree. Rabbi Yehuda Matir Yerek be'elon. Rabbi Yehuda says one is allowed to graft a vegetable onto a tree simply because it doesn't take, not because there's some unique exception, but because it doesn't take. However, there seems to be a contradiction between Rabbi Yehuda's Shita here and Rabbi Yehuda's Shita, which we actually learned previously in the Masechta. Talmud Omer previously had said, if a person takes a seed from the stem of a shavatiach, of a melon, which is a vegetable, and a seed from the stem of an apple, which is a fruit, he puts them into one hole. In other words, he seeds them together. They combine. They become Kilyaim. So you see that fruit and vegetable do combine together. So it would seem that the grafts should also work between fruits and vegetables. Here he says it doesn't work. Right here he says that you're allowed to graft a vegetable into fruit because it doesn't take. And here he says that seeds which are planted together, vegetable and fruits, wrapped together. It says Maratamon there, because he plants one seed next to the other. Then when they grow out, they're going to merge together. V'nasim Kilyaim, they're going to become Kilyaim. Brahma, however, Yerek be'ilonu, here you want to make graft on a stem from a vegetable, from a tomato, onto a tree, onto a fruit tree, onto an apple tree. It's not going to take. Okay? Says the Gemara, Tani, we learned, Minayin she markivin eitz chak agabe eitz machal. Now, I did not know this, but this is halacha, you're not allowed to even to graft a non-fruit-bearing tree al eitz machal and a fruit-bearing tree. V'lo eitz machal agabe eitz machal, nor a fruit-bearing tree of one sort on a fruit-bearing tree on another sort. So it's an interesting thing. Even non-fruit-bearing trees cannot be grafted on fruit-bearing trees. Fascinating thing. You would think that they're neutral. They're not. They're not neutral. They're not value neutral. They're negatives. You can't do it. So it says the Gemara, how do we know this is true? Min b'sheino mino minayin. How do we know that any min with something which is not its min, any this similar types, I know they're forbidden. Talmud Omer chukosai tishmoru. My chukim you should watch. What does that mean as chukosai tishmoru? Says of it by Kilyaim. But what's that referring to? Chukim. Why is Kilyaim called a chok? Rabbi Yonim B'Shra and Rabbi Lezer Shem Rav B'Shem Kahana say they both said that Rabbi Yonim and Rabbi Lezer said the name of Kahana to Rabbi Lezer. This is going like Rabbi Lezer. Mishum chukim shechakakti bo lami. Because of the rules which I set down in my world at the beginning of time. In other words, when I created the world, I set specific rules, specific patterns. Meaning, this is type A and this is type B. And never the twain shall meet. So here the word chok doesn't mean the same thing it normally means. Normally, chok means a rule. Here, what does chok mean? No, not even that, but rather a specific type. The word chok means something which is carved, etched. So the types were etched, so to speak. They were etched in stone. Categorized, right? So that's what's happening here. So the categories cannot be mixed and matched. Says Gemara, Me'ato Sulodam Arishon. So if that's the case, was it also Rodam Arishon? Was Rodam Arishon also Kilyaim? Yes. Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rabbi Hila said no. Divrei HaKoli. There's a little bit of words missing here, but according to the first opinion, Kilyaim is also to Goyim. We're going to see that imminently as well, more explicitly. Rabbi Yosef Sharmila says no. Divrei HaKoli. Not it could be Bnei Noach or not Nitztavu on Kilyaim. But rather what we're saying is Mishum Chukim Shechakakti Be'olami. Not that the laws existed from the time of Adam Rishon, but rather the types existed from Adam Rishon. Okay? Me'ato also says more, if that's the case of all types, you're not allowed to mix and match or combine together. Also, it should be forbidden to graft a black date on a white date with a black fig, a black fig tree and a white fig tree. Rabbi says more, no. That's not, so far we don't go. Rabbi Yavin goes, why not? Because Rabbi Yavin said, Vilna can't you learn out from Kilyaim by garments? Just like Kilyaim Begadim would try to forbade you. Shnei minim are two different types, meaning wool and linen, right? Lo zemi means zev, lo zem means zev. They're not at all similar. Right? White wool with black wool is mutter, right? White linen with black linen is mutter, right? What's the only answer? Wool and linen together, right? Af Kilyaim shalosai d'chol b'chol mokim, so to Kilyaim, which is also by planting or anywhere else. Lo zemi means zev, lo zemi means zev. In order to be forbidden, it must be two different types altogether. Tani b'shem Reb Lezer. We learned the name Reb Lezer. This is going back to the sheet that we had in Amud Aleph, that Kilyaim rosted ben Noach. Mutaru goy lizra v'lubosh Kilyaim. A goy is allowed to plant and to wear Kilyaim. What's he not allowed to? Avalol arbia behemto Kilyaim. He's not allowed to husband his animal in a Kilyaim, meaning take dogs and cross them with cats, right? V'lo harki v'lo Kilyaim, nor graft mutter for goyim. Goyim are not allowed to have graft trees.
So, what about making a mule? You can't.
No, you can't do it. Goy can't make a mule, right? So for prohibited. Villa, according to this, Lama, why? Because it says by all these things already, by my separation, it says Liminehen. That means they have to stick to their own meaning and not transfer meaning. It's not the right word, but not. You got the point. What about grasses? Ksiba and Liminayin, it says Liminayin, right? So they should also have to stick to their own mean. And Ksiba Tsiva, so it doesn't say that we are commanded to keep them separate, but rather when they grew Liminayim. So when Hashem said animals should come out Liminayim, He commanded the animals and by extension humanity to keep those boundaries. When He commanded on grafting, on trees, He said Leminea, which means that they should come out distinct, and also they should never be grafted. But it doesn't say when He commanded grass to come out that He commanded it to come out Leminea. It says the grass came out Leminea on its own. So Rashi brings down Chumash that the grass made a kavachomer to itself, and said if the trees came out separate, we should also come out separate, whatever the case may be, but they weren't commanded to remain separate. So therefore there's no Isser of Kilyaim by grasses. Yeah. By the tzivur, you take a look at Chumash, you'll see by the commands it says Liminayim by those, but not by the grasses. Okay, if that's the case, the Gra takes out the next two words Vim Kain. The Gemara asks, Lo many scholars. It says when other Rishon sinned, the land was cursed as well. Why was the land cursed? Rabbi Yerushalmi Kilyaim Omar Ayidei She'avra Gzeiros of Shal Kodesh Baruch Hu. The land transgressed the command of Hashem. This is brought down Rashi and Chumash as well. It's Hashem wanted Tachior's Deshes the Mazriya Zera. And then the pasuk goes on. Yerushalmi many times only brings the beginning of the pasuk, even though it means to bring a proof from the end of the pasuk. The end of the pasuk says that it says Eitz Pri Ose Pri. It says the fruit, the bark itself should have the taste of the fruit. Right? That's the end of the pasuk. V'hilo asas, and the land didn't do it. Elavatoitziards desh eitz and mazriya zer lemineu, and eitz ose pri. The pasuk goes on to say it only created fruit-bearing trees, but not that the bark itself had the taste of the fruit. Rabbi Pinchas said no. He argues. He says somcha b'tzivuyel. The Torah, the land rejoiced in its command and fulfilled it. Not only that, v'osifi lane srak. The land was not told to produce a non-fruit-bearing trees. That was like a gift that the land gave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So other midrashim said that Elon Srak is a klola as a result of the chait of Adam Arishon. We have non-fruit-bearing trees. That in Gan Eden all trees bore fruit, and that lossy level, even the non-fruit-bearing trees will bear fruit. But this is, according to other opinion, which holds that this is a special gift that the land gave to God, not only to produce what it was told to produce, but also tacked on the non-fruit-bearing trees. Okay?
How was that a gift? If it doesn't give any fruit,
it's pleasant to look at. It's aesthetic. It's useful also. Okay? That's what he holds. Al Daited Rabbi Yehuda Marshal Korn, Rabbi Yehuda Marshal who says that the land messed up. Yofen Iskal Lochetz. Makes sense that the land was cursed. Al Daited Rabbi Pinchas, Berkorn Rabbi Pinchas, Lom Iskal Lochetz. Why was the land cursed? What did the land do wrong? Can we hear from there? Kinesh the Omar. So it's like a person who says, Lit Biza the Chen Yinak. Cursed is that woman. That the Biza is a woman who's mevuzes, a woman who's disgusting or to be repudiated. Cursed is that woman, the Cheninak, who nursed such a child. In other words, we're cursing the land because man came from the land. So just like you cursed the mother of a child who went astray, so too you cursed the land which begat Adam, who went astray. Okay? Va'asya kaid Rabbi Nosson. This is going like Rabbi Nosson, who says, 3 went in to be judged, man, woman, and the serpent. And 4 things were cursed. Man, woman, the serpent, and the land. Right? The land is cursed because of man. Until now, says that your animals you should not be Marbiya Kilaim. What about birds? Tani. So some Tanoim want to learn out from Chukosai Tishmoru. Meaning birds are created with their own distinct types. They have to keep their own distinct types. Tani and some Tanoim learn out from Behem Techol Sarbiya Kilaim. And although the Gemara doesn't say it's explicitly, meaning we make a Gzera Shavat to Shabbos. By Shabbos, your Mitzvah and Shvis Hasof. Not allowed to let your birds do work for you. So too on birds are included in animals. So too here, birds are included in the Kilaim, just like animals are included in the Kilaim. Says the Gemara, actually not asking. Now here's a typo. It should be here Bia Behema. What if you crossbred animals? V'yarbia often at the same time you crossbred birds. Madamar Chukosai Tishmoru. Here says that birds are learned out of Chukosai Tishmoru, a separate pasuk than animals. Chayiv Shtaim. There's a Chayiv 2 in here. One for the behemoths, which Behem Techol Sarbiya Chukaim, the other one for Lo Sarbiya Kilaim, the other one for Chukosai Tishmoru. Be careful not to transgress my categories. He who says that even birds will enter from Behem Techol Sarbiya with Gzera from Shabbos, so he says that there's only one lav here. For both birds and animals, the lav is Behem Techol Sarbiya Kilaim. Okay? Says the Gemara further, and vice versa. Again, and here's as a typo. Hirkiv Elon. If you grafted a tree, v'yarbia oaf, and at the says not simultaneously, but in one asra you also You also crossbred birds. So if you learn Chukosai Tishmoru, Eino Chai Velachas. You only transgress one, right? Because birds and grafting are both learned from Chukosai Tishmoru. You learned that birds from Dentachol Sabia Kilyaim. Chayiv Shtayim holds your Chayiv 2 here. What are the two? For the behem, the oaf is learned from Dentachol Sabia Kilyaim. And the behemoth is learned out from and the grafting in the trees is learned out from Chukosai Tishmoru. Tani, we learned Ein Markivim Zeisim Berechav Shel Tmora. One cannot graft one is not allowed to graft olives on the stump of a Tmora of a date tree. Because it's Elon and an Elon. Rabbi Yudan asks, Rabbi Levi, doesn't the following statement argue on, doesn't this statement argue on Rabbi Levi's statement? What did Rabbi Levi say? Eshtecha kigefen poria biyarkasei beisecha. So Pasuk tell him, right? Your wife is like a fertile grapevine in the innards of your house. And then the Pasuk goes on to say that your sons are like planted olives around your table. Rabbi Levi dashed in this pasuk, just like olive trees have no grafting; they can't be grafted on or be grafted onto. So to your children will not have any souls; they won't have any refuse. Ask the Gemara, if you're going to tell me halacha that you're not allowed to graft an olive onto a date, so it sounds like you can graft olives. That olives can be grafted. Says Marshani, here it's different. You're not trying to graft. You want the grapevine to grow out of a base, which is from a date tree. Why? Because the moisture of the dates will mingle with the grapevine, not with the grapevine, the olives, and make the olives sweeter. Shani hocha d'shu osi lamasko. It's going to make it sweeter. And they had such a concept in the old days. Kehada, it's similar to that. Rabbi Shimon Berebi have a mashkete praskte. Yamush used to pour his nuts around the base instead of pouring them water. What would he use to pour them? Wine, cooked wine, in order to sweeten them. So there's a different thing other than grafting. There's a concept of sweetening the fruit by connecting it or hooking it up to some sweeter fruit, either by actually pouring wine on the roots, or by somehow or another growing the grapevine out of an area which growing the olive tree out of an area in which there was previously a date palm. So again, this is not a true grafting, this is a sweetening process, and we're answering this as well. Okay, we're saying that even though it's not a bona fide graft, it's still prohibited. Now again, I don't know exactly how they did it, but someone knows this is something distinct from a graft. Okay, halacha ches. Ein notim yerek b'tol sadon shel shikma. One is not allowed to plant a vegetable in the base of a sycamore tree. Now, a sycamore tree used to be a tree which they used to grow mostly for wood, and they used to harvest it all the time and leave a stump. So I guess on this stump you can grow vegetables. You're not allowed to graft vegetables onto that. Okay? Because that's a vegetable in a tree. I skipped. Sorry. You also can put a piga onto a kito levana to white kito mivneshu luyark b'ilon, because that's a vegetable onto a tree. And I don't know what these are. Let me just take a look. Wow. Cool. They have Kilyaim and Art Scroll. Let's see what he says here. Yeah, it's a hard Masechta. One may not graft the root to cashew. Ru, R-U-E, to Cassia, C-A-S-S-I-A. Yeah. So, he mentions a whole bunch of possibilities here. So, as this is greens with a tree. Okay. Oh, so does he have pictures in here too?
So look at Gemara. Gemara said
oh yeah, show the pictures. Yeah, sure. Very nice. Okay, keep it handy. Who wrote this? Doesn't say. Okay. So, you can't plant a branch of a fig l'toch chatzuv into a chatzuv, which is some other kind of base, I guess, of a vegetable, in order to make it cool down. No, it doesn't say in the front page. You have to look in the introduction, but I want to see what it says about chatzuv. Because somehow or another, again, I don't know how these things work, but somehow or another, the chatzuv cools down, whatever that means, the fig tree. So he says here that he doesn't bother translating chatzuv. Whatever chatzuv is, it is. Okay? Similarly, you cannot stick a shoot of a grapevine into a melon. Here there's also this kind of sweetening thing. The juice of the melon will go up into the grapevine and would make it juicier. Because this is a graft of a tree onto a vegetable. You can't put a gourd. Here we're talking about a gourd seed into a chelmis. Chelmis is another type of vegetable. Because that's a kilaim of one type of vegetable with another type of vegetable. Rabbi Schaya Chasoni, Rabbi Levi boy. Rabbi Schaya, the son-in-law of Rabbi Levi, asked the question. I don't understand. You're saying they now have to put stick the grapevine into the melon because of kilaim. It's a more basic issue of kilaim. The more basic issue of kilaim is that even if it's not grafting, it's still this or kilei keren. Kilei keren means not allowed to plant a grapevine together with anything else, whether it's grafting or not. All these things are grafting issues. But even if it's not grafting, it's still kilei keren. Says Rabbi Yisrael said the potter resolve it like this. It's a very, very fundamental thing. Can I have the piece of paper? I did not know this. Are you using this? I did not know this before today, and I assume neither did you. Kilaim, let's say here is a tree, a grapevine. Why am I using a fountain pen for this? You have a grapevine over here. And here right next to it, over here you have, this is grape. And here over here, let's have an orange tree. The only issue is if it's within 6 tefachim. This is 6 tefachim. And within 3 tefachim of the surface of the ground beneath the soil. That's the only area which kilaim applies. But let's say the roots meet underneath there. That's fine. That's true of any type of kilaim. 6 tefachim over ground, and 3 tefachim is the diff gap. And within the first 3 tefachim underground, that gap must be maintained. But in the 4th tefach, in the 4th tefach on the ground, we don't care anymore. At that point, the roots can mingle. It doesn't matter. Any type of kilaim. So kilaim is really what Kilyaim boils down to is the Maris Ayin issue. The whole concept of Kilyaim is mostly that which is apparent. If it's beneath the ground, a way which is not visible, it's not a problem. Unless, of course, it's what? What is our mission talking about? Grafts. Even subterranean grafts are also. But the mingling of roots is not a problem. Is that clear? If they're less than 6 volume apart, they look like they're growing together. Yeah, but it has to be within 3 tefachim below the top of the ground. I guess that's considered, to be, how should we say, Milsa Davida Legluya, let's call it that. Okay, that's too potentially apparent. Okay? It's always, no matter how high they grow, they always have to be at least 6 tefachim apart. But the 6 tefachim gap only has to maintain up to 3 tefachim beneath the ground. Okay? So it's a very big chiddush. So here it's talking about where the roots mingle below 3 tefachim into the ground. So then there would be no issue of Kilyaim if not for the problem of what? Of grafting. The mingling of roots is not a problem. Excuse me? Yeah, it can be more than 6 tefachim apart. But it has to be that gap has to be maintained. No, it has to be both. That gap has to be maintained of 6 tefachim apart above ground, has to be maintained up to a distance of 3 tefachim beneath the ground. Above ground, it doesn't help. It's supposed to be at least 6 tefachim apart below ground. Okay? Just separation between the trees. Okay? I could mislead you. I confused you. This 6 tefachim has to be maintained throughout, as high as the trees grow, and also 3 tefachim beneath the ground. Okay? Right. Says Markadot the Tani. So like that which we learned, it's talking about by single tree. The shiur of distance between single trees is 6 tefachim. The shiur of distance between a vineyard and, say, grain is how much? Not 6 tefachim, but rather, since the vineyard is more choshev, it's 4 amos. But again, that 4 amos only is maintained above ground and within 3 tefachim beneath the ground. Beneath that, the roots can mingle, and we don't care. Okay? Okay? So far, so good? Atomi and Lefes, Vitsnonos, Tachas Agefim. It's an interesting thing. You didn't plant, but rather you preserved your radishes and your turnips under your grapevine. But you have the grapevine, over here making a shade, and here underneath here you put your radishes and turnips. Yeah, beneath ground. No, that's the point. Says Rashi. Says the Mishnah. As long as some of the leaves are revealed, there's no kilayim involved, no shmita prohibition, no chiva meiser, and you can pull them out of the ground on Shabbos. Because if they have leaves and you put them in the ground with the leaves showing, so that means you didn't intend to replant them. Did not intend to replant them. Okay? Is this confusing? If you replanted them, so now they are, all bets are off. When they grow again, when they put out roots, then they can make kilayim, they can be chayv and shvius and maizus, you name it, it'll be chayv in it. Right? But if your intent is not for that to happen, your intent is rather to just store them in the ground, and that is proven by leaving the leaves on and accessible to yourself above ground, then all these halachos which apply to replanting don't take effect. Now, I want to add, this is also again, even if they put out little roots, it doesn't matter, because what was your intent? Just for storage. Okay? So they can retain storage. What? We're going to learn that. It's not mechuber l'karka, right? Yes. They're not planted. Stored.
They're stored there.
No, it's going to provide succulents to the grapes. No, it's going to provide succulents to the grapes. Yeah. We don't care. Because the leaves are revealed. That's right. You got it. Okay? Right. But you are just a city slicker, right? What do you know? You grew up in the Bronx. Did you ever see a plant in your life? Amazing. So says the Mishnah, if you throw into a hole in the ground wheat and barley, Areza Kilyaim. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Eno Kilyaim Achu Shnei Chiti Misori, you have to have either 2 wheat kernels and a barley kernel, or Chita Shnei Sorim, or 1 wheat kernel and 2 barley kernels, or Chita V'Kusar V'Kusamis, or wheat, barley, and spell. Bottom line is you need 3 seeds, and the Gemara is going to discuss why. In the meantime, says Gemara, Chizki Amar Lo Shona Levitz and Snonos. The only things to which the special storage halacha kulas applied, to which the special halachas of storage, which to generate this kula apply, is levitz and sonos, turnips and radishes. Not carrots, not parsnips, only those. Rabbi Yochanan, no. Lo shani levis lo shani. There's no distinction. He lefes, he tznonos, he sharkol for carrots underneath the ground, but left the leaves revealed. That's also storage. Okay. Says the Gemara. I think we turned the page. What are we talking about now? The Gemara is going to ask good questions, but it won't give us a satisfactory answer. What are we talking about? If we're talking about seeds affecting the tree, Lamali Geffen, why'd you have to mention Geffen, specifically grapevines? Utznonos together with radishes. Afilu shar kol should be hailonos. Instead of advarim should be lonos. Why'd you pick grapevines? Pick trees. This applies to any tree, not just the grapevines. And if the issue which our mission is driving at is that you don't want them to take root, so therefore they're not considered to be taking roots. Lamali left its notice. Why specifically did you pick radishes and turnips? I feel shakaros, maybe anything else. Now, funny thing here. The most time is that when it says levitz and source mission means both together. Don't ask me why the Gemara had such a Havmin. You'll see this as the Gemara's Havmin. The Gemara's Havmin is, when do I give clues of storage? When you have radishes and turnips together. Not where you have radishes by themselves or turnips by themselves. So the Gemara's going to refute this. But that's part of the Gemara's kasha. If the issue is storage, why do you need radishes and turnips together? So says the Gemara, Mimadatai Rabbi Chia. For now, Rabbi Chia said, Kigon aguda shel lefes. The aguda shel tznonos. Since Rabbi Chia said it could be talking about a bunch of levis or a bunch of snonos, not necessarily both together, have a lace taima to low. There's no the reason why it doesn't become usher is only mishum sheina rotza bashrosh rasan, because you don't want them to take roots. So in other words, it's not like you understood originally. that it's lefetz plus snonos. It's lefetz or snonos. And obviously, since we gave an example of lefetz or snonos, the emphasis of our Mishnah is that even though you might think they take root, since your intent is that they not take root, that's why all these things are permitted. We never answered why it picked grapevines and not trees. That's never been answered. Okay, Mela says more further. Tani, we learned. That was very much very interesting kulas here. Tani, pago shetomna, it should be b'tevin. You have an unripe fig, which in order to ripen, you stored it in straw. Or charora, you have a hot cake. Shetomna gecho, in order to keep it warm, you stored it in coal. You stored it in coal. Imo you miktosim gulin. If part of them was revealed, part of the unripe fig, or part of the charor, and he told him b'Shabbos, allowed to move them on Shabbos. If not, ain't he told him b'Shabbos, now allowed to move on Shabbos. Why? Because what's wrong? They're completely covered. What's the problem? That might explain the second one, not the first one. You guys are such big lamdonim. Think too big lomdus. Muktzah! Yeah, the straw is muktzah. The hotcakes are muktzah. So how can you get it? Whatever's inside them, you can't move it. Okay? Hotcakes not muktzah, but what's encased in? Hakos are muktzah. Yeah, so you can't get it. Okay? Rabbi Lezer ben Tadoy Omer ben kach, regardless. Toche b'shkur b'spudasakin, you stick a skewer or a knife into the hot cake or into the fig, the noidlin you can take it. Higher moving muktzah, doesn't matter. Asked Rabbi Lezer ben Tadoy, that which Rabbi Lezer said is permissible, goes like Rabbi Shimon. The time lo yogor adam esakitse. Vesamit, a person should not move, not drag a bed, a chair, a bed. There's a katedra. A katedra is like a heavy chair. Bibnei shuos charitz, because you make a furrow in the ground. Rabbi Shimon matir, because Rabbi Shimon has the famous principle of what? Yeah, right. But specifically here, it's not a psik ratio. It's not for sure going to happen. Therefore, it's called davar shein miskavein mutter. Right? We didn't have the intent; it's mutter. So you didn't intend to move the coals. You didn't intend to move the straw. You intended to get out the cake or to get out the fig. So davar shein miskavein is mutter. Rava said slightly differently. He said b'shem Rav Huna, and Rabbi Chaga said b'shem Rabbi Zira, and Rabbi Yossi said b'shem Rabbi Hila. Modi Chachamim Rabbi Shimon. Chachamim concede to Rabbi Shimon bekisei sharaglo b'shukos petit, where you have a chair, and the chair is sunk into mud. Shemuta without allowed to move it on Shabbos. Why is that? Because even though it makes a furrow, what's going to happen to the furrow right after you move the chair? It's going to fall back in. Right. So, the mother Tamar, mutar l'taltulo, just like you're allowed to move it, kavasa mutar l'achzir, so you're allowed to put it back. In other words, you can stick it back into the mud when you're finished, because it's not going to make a permanent hole. I'm Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi wanted to bring a riot to Rava from our case of a nanamitzina tzina. It's only b'Shabbos. Here we said that it's that you can move the coal or the fig on Shabbos, right? So we see that you move the coal and fig on Shabbos. It must be that that we see that since the issue must be that the issue must be that Dor Hashem is Gavin Mutter, right? Since excuse me, no, scratch that last line. So here we're talking. He thought that the problem is why do we have to say why do we have to say Nitolim b'Shabbos? It must be that the problem is making a hole.
branches are inside the wall.
And if you can move them anyway, it must be that you're allowed to make this hole. And why are you allowed to make this hole? It must be because the hole doesn't keep. Because the straw will just fall into it, right? Or the coals will just fall in to where you made it. So must you see that our Mishnah, which says Nitolim b'Shabbos, must be, well, not the Mishnah, the Brisa says Nitolim b'Shabbos. Oh no, it is our Mishnah. I'm sorry, our Mishnah says you can move the lefis and snonos on Shabbos is a riot to Rabbi Shimon, right? It's a riot to Rabba's Pshat and Rabbi Shimon. Then why is it mutter? Because even though you're making a hole in the ground, when you move it, doesn't matter. Because what the hole in the ground is just going to fall back in. It's not going to remain. The dirt will just fill it in. So here's a riot for Rava. Says more, no, it's not a riot for Rava. Rabbi Yitzhak Rabun to Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yitzhak Rabun said it could be that this is the other thing. Rabbi Shimon that Dov Hashem is kavin is mutter. In other words, what Rava was chiddush was that even if you intend to make a hole in the mud, since the hole which is not miskayim, it's okay. That's not necessarily the case in our Mishnah. Could be our Mishnah specifically mutter because it's a what? Davar shein miskavin. Because you didn't intend to make the hole. But could be if you intended to make a hole, even though it was a temporary hole, maybe we would concede that it's also. So there's no clear-cut evidence for that for our Mishnah. Says the Gemara further. Wait a minute. How can our Mishnah be Rabbi Shimon? It says in our Mishnah that since you only put the radish and turnip in for storage purposes, so they don't get Shemitah. It sounds like had you planted the radish and turnip, there would be a Shemitah problem. How could that be according to Rabbi Shimon? Isach Meim Shviz to Rabbi Shimon. Is the concept of Shemitah according to Rabbi Shimon? So Rabbi Shimon matir b'svichei shvius. Rabbi Shimon permits svichei shvius. Rabbi Shimon says stuff which goes through Shemitah is mutter. We pass it svichei shvius are also. We pass in anything which goes through Shemitah in a Jewish field is also. If a Jew grows it, it's also. But Rabbi Shimon says it's mutter. So why if our mission is going like Rabbi Shimon, I was mutter to move the stuff on Shabbos because it's Davar shein miskaven, then it doesn't follow to start speaking about Shemitah. Because there's no Shemitah problem anyway by turnips and radish, which are planted on Shemitah, because he doesn't over there serve Sfichin of that which goes during Shemitah. Says the Gemara again, Rabbi Shimon. He takes the Rash Sirulel takes out the next three words. Rabbi Shimon matir b'svichei shvius. So how can you say here that our mitzvah going to Rabbi Shimon? Says, well, no. I forgot Rabbi Shimon. What does Rabbi Shimon allow? He allows you to eat that which grows in a Shemitah field. But still, Islam Mishum Kedusha Shvius. Whatever grows there has Kedusha Shemitah, and therefore it can't be wasted. And you have to be mevaret when there's no longer anything left for the animals in the field. So therefore it says more, even though Rabbi Shimon, our Mishnah works. Our Mishnah had to tell us that there's no Shemitah not vis-a-vis the Isser Sfichin. There is no Isser Sfichin. But vis-a-vis what? That there should be no Kedusha Shemitah on the radish and turnips. How do I know there's no Kedusha Shemitah on the radish and turnips? Only because Rabbi Shimon, because it's put there for storage. And that's even called Rabbi Shimon. Because Rabbi Shimon knows it's Kedusha Shemitah even on anything which is planted during Shemitah. Okay, let's see on a good side. I forgot Rabbi Shimon matir b'svichei shvius. He's saying Mishum Kedusha shvius. He holds the concept of shvius sanctifying the fruits. Of Hacha, so to here, Eino choshish lo Mishum shvius. When it says you're not choshish because of Shemitah, what does that mean? Lo Mishum Kedusha shvius. You're not choshish because that there might be Kedusha shvius. Okay, new issue. You plant two types of grain in a valley. Two types of grain in a ruin. R-U-I-N. Shnei meaning you plant two types of grain and they fall on either side of a fence. Now, in the first two cases, in the Bika and in the Churva, you took them in your hand chita and sorrel, let's say, wheat and barley, and you scattered them. It happens to be when they fell on the floor, they fell more than 6 tefachim apart. But you planted them with one hand motion. The same thing if they were split by a fence. The barley fell on that side, the wheat fell on that side, but would you scatter them together? This is machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan Potter. Because the Maisa, how did they land? Separately. Rishim and Lakish says Chayav. Because what did you do? You scattered them together. That's enough. If your das was to scatter them together, we zap you for that. It's a major chumrah by Reish Lakish, right? Your intent to do an Aveira, and a Maisa which was intended with the intent of Aveira, that's enough to be Mechayiv you Malkus. Okay? It's more indicative you tend to plant together. We're going to see that on Amud base. Okay, it says Moda Shim and Lakish. Actually, even on Amud also. Moda Shim and Lakish b'Zoreal Gabe Yam. Shim and Lakish ever concedes if you plant it at sea, on a lake. Al Gabe Pitra, on top of a. I'm not sure the Pitra is. I forgot what a picture is. It's some sort of non-arable surface. Similarly, al-gabi slami, planted on top of rock. Al-gabi trasher, on top of plant which is not land which is not agriculturally suited. Shu potter. Because even though you spread them together, they can't grow. Alright, let's say later on they rolled somewhere where they could grow. But l'maisa, when you scatter them, your intent was not so to see them actually grow. Yeah. Hydroponics could grow them, but the old days it didn't. It just wouldn't grow. Okay? Moda Hashem and Lakish Bezorka Zoream Nas L'Chalkan go there. And also when you scatter them with the intent of having a fence separate them, of course, true Potter, they're exempt as well. Amar Rabbi Bar Kartiganya, Rabbi Bar from Kartiganya said, Moda Hashem and Lakish in Shabbos Adja Tenuach. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says that Shimon Lakish concedes that on Shabbos the Malacha is only transgressed when the seeds rest, but not just rest. Obviously, what else do they have to do? Take root. As they say in Chicago, root. They have to actually take root in order to be also because of Shabbos. Kilyaim, your intent to plant and your act of scattering is in and of itself enough to give you malchus. Shabbos, you mechayiv you chatos or kores because of zoreah. What has to actually take place? Hashchosha actually has to take root. Okay. Masisa pliga Rabbi Yochanan. Our Mishnah seems to argue Rabbi Yochanan. It says if you plant wheat and barley together, I raise a kilayim. It's kilayim. Doesn't sound like it sounds like even if you just scatter them. It says more no. Pasar law, Rabbi Yochanan explains that story about B'nesunim b'toch shisha al shisha, where they fell in a constricted area within 6 tefachim of each other. That's why it's kilayim. Otherwise, it wouldn't be kilayim. So why is it kilayim? Because they fell together, and therefore it's kilayim. So Rabbi Yochanan says, "Eino chayav achu shisha al shisha mukrachim," until they fall to an area which is 6 by 6, a bald spot. Now, a bald spot doesn't necessarily mean a bald spot. It means there's a designated area. They fall together in a designated area, which is 6 by 6, mutoch sadeh, so that's full within your grain field. Or mukavin garder, or they fall into an area where they are within a fence. Now that's where the churba comes in, right? In other words, it has to be that the wind can't scatter them away from there. Because the wind can scatter them away from there, even if you threw them within 6 tefachim of each other, the Isser is not yet transgressed. Because you could say, well, I intended for the wind to carry them away and scatter them. So what's the only way I can be mechayiv you, according to Rabbi Yochanan? If you plant them away to make sure that they don't scatter. Which obviously means either you dug a hole in the ground for them, or you put them in a constricted area where they're going to grow together. Okay? Now, the truth is I only prepared up to here. but it's unprecedentedly early. I don't know if I can let you go. Let's see if I can wing it. If not, then we'll leave for tomorrow night. Okay? Be'adah. We did two blot already, though, right? By the way, Thursday night we're not learning for sure, because I'm going to be out of town. Wednesday night might also be a problem. I'll let you know tomorrow. But Wednesday night I'll probably be here, but I don't know yet for sure. Next week, Monday and Tuesday. No. We know. It's Tisha B'Av. Right. Monday and Tuesday. Monday, yeah, because Monday night is Tisha B'Av. And Motzai Tisha B'Av, I can't get you to schlep out here. Okay, so we're going to fall behind. Ba'adah, that's where Ba'adah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eini Kilyaim. Wait a minute. Rabbi Yehuda said you only have Kilyaim if you plant 3 seeds together. How could Rabbi Yehuda say such a thing? In this case, you planted 2 seeds, chita and sarah together in the constricted area. The Rabbi Yehuda doesn't concede that that's Kilyaim. Concede, get it? Doesn't concede that that's Kilyaim. So this is what Rabbi Zira said, Rabbi Yehuda Kedaite. Rabbi Yehuda follows his line of reason, which is known to us. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Besada Yerek Tefach. Rabbi Yehuda says that in a Sada Yerek, in a field of vegetables, the shiur at which it no longer becomes kilayim, which is no longer kilayim, is not 6 tefachim, like we learned till now, but even a tefach. As long as it's more than a tefach apart, it's not kilayim. So we learn it has to be at least 6 tefachim apart. He says even 1 tefach. So it seems that Rabbi Yehuda has a much more narrow view of what makes kilayim. Perhaps that's why Rabbi Yehuda holds you need to have 3 grains together. Perhaps they're related. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, he wants to ask a question on Rabbi Zira. Yolif, who said that the Rabbi Yehuda has more constricted parameters. Yolif Hadar the Rabbi Yehuda, let him learn the parameters of Rabbi Yehuda mean the Rabbanin, from that which the rabbi said. Kimad the Rabbanin, I mean like that which Rabbanin said. Be'isur Beis Rova. When you have Be'isur means the Rabbanan. Be'isur means the Rabbanan, you need much more than 6 tefachim distance. You need a base rova of distance, which is 10 amos. Major difference. Midaraisa, what's an amos? Midaraisa lilkos means to flog you. The only flog is the right, so shisha 6. Kain Rabbi Yehuda Omer. So to Rabbi Yehuda says, Omar, be'isur shisha. For an isur, in other words, the isur the Rabbanon is 6 by 6. Lilkos tefach. Only to get malchus it's a tefach. But for the isur the Rabbanon, you already transgressed the isur the Rabbanon by 6 on 6. So, Vatani Rabbi Yehuda Matir. Yet instead in our Mishnah, well, it's not a Mishnah, but it must be in a Brisa. The Rabbi Yehuda permits it. Rabbi Yehuda, I don't know if we had this Brisa. I don't think we did. Yeah, he brings out, it's not a price which we had, but there's a price which says that Rabbi Yehuda was matir as long as you don't have 3 seeds. So again, the kasha is, we see at least in Midrabanan, Rabbi Yehuda has the same stringency as Chachamim do Midoraisa. So how can he be matir outright unless you have 3 types of grain? He should at least ask him Midrabanan. How can you matir even Midrabanan? Okay, the kasha, and we have, it's also difficult. My time in the Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. What's the logic, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish? Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, when you just scatter out of your hand, it's already this of kilayim. Became chotzi mitoch yodo lezera chayev. Once you let it go out of your hand, and with the intent to plant, they're already considered to be chayiv. So says the Gemara, Vatin and Rabbi Yehuda Me'er Kilayim. Why in that case is Rabbi Yehuda holds it's not Kilayim if you scatter 2 types of grain? He said only if you scatter 3 types of grain. Let him, according to Reish Lakish, he should say that it's also even 2 types of grain when you're scattering out of your hand, right? That's a kasha, another kasha, Rabbi Yehuda. It's more of a kasha, Reish Lakish. According to Reish Lakish, holds Itzras in scattering. So if you scatter, what difference does it make how many seeds you scatter? The moment you scatter seeds of wheat and seeds of barley, who cares how many you scatter? Why is there even to say dafka 3? Scatter seeds of barley and wheat together, that should be sufficient. Says the Gemara, patar lo achitanuach. You're right. It says Gemara, Reish Lakish will say that there is no Isser of Kilayim unless until it falls, and therefore, even though you scattered Chita and Sora together, it has to fall in a manner which has 3 seeds. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. We don't know yet. What? Yeah, I understand that 3 is something established, but the Chorah, what does that have to do with Kilayim? Kilayim is 2 meaning. So why 3 is Roim? We were promised the Gemara is not going to explain it. I don't see here anywhere the Gemara explaining it. All right. You know what? Let's leave it for tonight. We'll come back to tomorrow because since I don't fully understand it, why should I lead you astray?